Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're watching Greenwave TV Alternative Media Television. I wanted to share a really fantastic article with you if you haven't seen it already. This is from WND.com. It's titled Americans Snapping by the Millions. Snapping by the Millions, losing their mind. This is written by a gentleman by the name of David. He says that in today's society, today's society is revealing record fear, stress, suicide, and people are just, quite frankly, losing their minds. Terrorism, chaos, fear of the future. In the age of Obama, America is undergoing a fundamental transformation. That much everyone knows. But what few seem to realize about this transformation is that the sheer stress of living in today's America is driving tens of millions to the point of illness, depression, and self-destruction. Consider the following trends. Suicide has surpassed car crashes as the leading cause of injury death for Americans. I want you to think about that for a minute. Suicide has surpassed car crashes as the leading cause of injury death for Americans. Even more disturbing, in the world's greatest military, more U.S. soldiers died last year by suicide than in combat. So you have more people dying at home now as the leading cause of injury death for Americans as a result of suicide. And you have more U.S. soldiers killing themselves than any other cause than dying in combat. So it's actually more dangerous to fight in these wars overseas on behalf of the machine and President Barack Obama. You're more likely to kill yourself than you are to actually die in combat or in some kind of Pat Tillman firefight, or where they decide to kill you basically so you can't come back, potentially run for president again. Pat Tillman was hugely famous. He's from our home state here in Arizona. I watched him play football many times before. He was going to be probably one of the biggest anti-war activists upon his return home in the history of America, which gave the United States government a very big motive to get rid of him. And of course, they lied to us. Again, people always say this stuff's conspiracy, but remember, they told us he was killed by Al-Qaeda. That proved to be a lie. That proved to be a false pretense. That proved to be bullshit. Later came out that they had been lying and that he was shot by the military himself. So he was killed by our own military. Whether or not you believe it to be a conspiracy or not, just like the FBI changed their story on the Boston bombing, our military and our federal government changed their story on Pat Tillman, only after putting his family through the trauma and putting them on public display and lying to their faces to tell them he died from an Al-Qaeda firefight, only to learn that the bullets put in his brain were by our own government. Again, our own government's responsible for more murder. They call it democide, the leading non-natural cause of death than any other cause in human history. I've killed and murdered hundreds and hundreds of millions of people through the years. This isn't just the United States. This is governments all around the world. So again, for all of you out there, all those critics out there that want to disregard the truth, I encourage you to dig at the facts, because what we are bringing to you are facts. Another very important point here says fully 1/3 of the nation's employees suffer chronic debilitating stress, and more than half of all millennials 18 to 33 years old, and I can testify to this because I know a lot of people in this age bracket experience a level of stress that keeps them awake at night. So 18 to 33 is among the most stressful and stressed out generation and generations out there. Many who are also diagnosed with depression and anxiety disorder. The mainstream media and even the healthcare profession in general wants to treat anxiety and depression as a mental illness. Your brain is diseased, but they don't want to address any of our societal problems. They don't want to address any other issues. They just want to give you drugs. Here, take these pills. You'll put $1 billion+ into the pockets of Pfizer or Wyeth or any of these other pharmaceutical companies. Again, this is all big, big business. It's kind of like selling a Big Mac. Nobody wants to address the fact that all of these killers that we've seen on murder rampages, Jared Holmes, James Holmes, Jared Loughner in Tucson, Adam Lanza at Sandy Hook, all on psychotropic meds, by the way. All these killers, the Columbine killers, all on SSRIs, all between the ages of 18 to 33 years old. But again, instead of addressing the root cause here, it's kind of like when you have a headache. And, the problem, instead of addressing the problem, it might just be that you're dehydrated and you need water. You need your agua. But instead of giving you water, they just give you a pill. Like, here, take a painkiller. But it's like, hey, if I just had a glass of water, my headache would go away. It's the same thing here. Instead of addressing the root cause, what President Barack Obama is suggesting, and his administration is suggesting, and people like Lindsey Graham, is, let's give the FBI more power, and while we're at it, let's take away your guns. And let's put the city of Boston on full display as a militarized police state. And then we'll do a test run on it so the people in Boston will see how dumb the sheep actually are. And we'll just watch them clap, and be very happy to be militarized when there was only one terrorist on the loose. So to me, Boston is just a dry run. It's just a test run. And it's also being used to condition the masses, get used to the idea of seeing tanks, SWAT, DHS, MRAPs, and get used to being in that totalitarian environment. Get used to having to show your papers, where they knock on your door and they tell you to put your hands up and identify yourself. So again, I don't have to dig into all the history here, but this is where we are today in America. So shocking new research from the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention shows that 1 in 5 of all high school aged children in the United States has been diagnosed with ADHD. And likewise, a large new study of New York City residents shows. So, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to go through all the causes here, all the reasons. But a fantastic article. And again, this guy over here, you see him was giving us this little wink here, like, hey guys, hey liberals, follow me, follow me. I'm going to redistribute the wealth. I'm going to steal, 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 and take from those that are actual producers in society, and I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to reward you after I've brainwashed you. And it's funny, they say that the wife of the killer Tamerlan was brainwashed into the Islamic faith, which again, it's the Department of Homeland Security's and the mainstream media and President Barack Obama's job to create massive fear around the Muslim faith and to lambaste that is, basically satanic ritual, devil worship. And I'm not even defending, Islam or any religion for that matter, but it's clear when we're being propagandized, and it's clear to see and actually see in real life how President Barack Obama is rewarding his minions. Once they convert, once you go through the painful transition of being in our society transformed from a capitalist system, one based on liberty, freedom, and constitutional values, to a socialist, and I would argue fascist system of wealth redistribution. Again, this is community organizing at its finest. I encourage you to read the book Saul Alinsky, Rules for Radicals. It's one of the better, maybe best pieces on propaganda and the psychology of the masses that I've ever read. President Barack Obama was a follower of Saul Alinsky and implements much of these same principles on a regular basis for his converts. Hey, if you're a liberal out there and you want to get rid of your guns and you want to scapegoat Sandy Hook and Boston is a reason to give up all of your freedom, not just CISPA, not just internet freedom, and I'll get to that story in another video. Not just that freedom, but I'm talking about all freedom. Your right to self-defense, the Second Amendment, free speech. It's amazing. People ask me all the time, like, Christopher, man, your channel's crazy. I can't believe, all the stuff you talk about. Last time I checked, free speech is still free. The problem is it's not going to be. It's one of the reasons why I come on this channel on a daily basis and throw it in everybody's faces because, hey, this is supposedly a free country. This is supposedly the land of the free, where you can worship your own religion or not, and not be persecuted for it. You can vocalize your opinion. You can exercise your freedom of speech even if people disagree with it. That's supposedly how the country was set up. And what I say time and time again, America, I say instead of taking that for granted, we put it to the test. We put it to the test and see what kind of reaction we get out of these people over here, these winkers over here. Because you'll come to find you are not free, my friend. You are in bondage. You are a slave, no different than the slaves of the kings and queens of 1,000 years ago, my friend. You are a debt slave. You are owned. You pay for bailouts. You bail out trillions of dollars for these guys. These and his crony friends like John Corzine. Look, I'm picking his nose right here. How do you like that, Obama? You like your nose getting picked like that? Huh? Is that irritating? You want to wink that other eye over there? Huh? How does that feel? Obama didn't expect this top secret information would leak. So again, just a little bit more hard-hitting truth in your face. Get it out there to the buying sheeple masses. And I know, you always notice how it offends people, the truth. And that's how I know that I'm walking the line. And that's how I know that I've zeroed in on something and actually hit it out of the park, like we did with the Boston coverage that we put out over, 12, 15 videos here, maybe more. I've kind of frankly lost count, is when it angers people to the point of these reactions that we're getting in the comment threads and, on our websites and just the increased traffic. I actually want to thank all the trolls out there. Thank you, trolls, for the amazing contribution that you've made to our channel and you've made to AMTV, our grassroots media organization. Because look, I actually love the trolls as much as I do our most ardent supporters, because that's what my channel's about. That's what AMTV is about. We want opposing viewpoints here. It's about freedom of speech. Feel free to disagree. I'll argue with you to your face until you're blue in the face. And that's the problem with our society nowadays. It's too friggin' politically correct. It's too politically correct. Everybody has to dance around their opinions. Can't just tell it like it is. Well, something that I'll always hold myself to, and as a promise to you, my audience, my listeners, trolls, and ardent supporters alike, you will always get my take. You will always get my honest opinion, regardless of the fallout, regardless if it's popular or not. Because again, I don't care about being popular, and it's not a popularity contest. It's about truth, my friends. It's about bringing that truth every single day to you. And I really appreciate your support. I'm Christopher Green. Get this out to everybody you can, Americans, snapping by the millions. And also what you need to understand is this is exactly what the administration wants. Snapping and raising the stress level and the stress alert, raising your cortisol levels to the point where you snap is exactly what Obama wants, because it creates chaos. And out of that chaos, they can inflict massive gun legislation, massive comprehensive, let's outlaw black powder and the bombs or the materials that helped bomb the fertilizer plant. People want to know what the motive was for that, for potentially missile striking it. I don't know if a missile actually struck, but I do know that the motive behind that event, which I said from the beginning I believe to be linked to Boston, would be to outlaw the powder and outlaw certain other materials in addition with this gun legislation that they're pushing. So again, they want the chaos. They want you to snap. They want the Adam Lanzas and the Jared Loughner's. It's exactly why the CIA manufactures them, so that they snap, create these tragedies, create this fear. They militarize Boston. They create a police state. They get you nice and used to it. Before you know it, you're wearing a Gestapo uniform and you're out there killing Jews. Honestly, that's how far they take it. That's how far they put it. They take baby steps to tyranny to the point where you find yourself and will find yourself in a full-blown secessionist movement here in the United States, where you've got, 4 or 5, maybe a dozen states seceding. You've got total chaos and tyranny in the United States. You've got a militarization. You're no longer allowed to own guns. They'll cut off freedom of speech because they'll say that incites violence now, and now you can't have freedom of speech. Ideas are too dangerous. It's thought crime. It's 1984, George Orwell. Don't think. And if you do, we'll take you to and electrocute your brain a little bit, to get you back on the Obama program. Get you back on the drip system here. Wink, wink, wink. Wink, wink, wink. Anyways, I'm Christopher Green. Hard hitting it in your face. Get this out. Peace.